All right, welcome back to this week's Battleshopper Breakdown. I'm Professor Yana, and this is match number 2 of our 4-match gauntlet here with Blood Wild Deathcry. Looks like we're playing against the standard deck of the current constructed standard format in Redlings, but we did win the coin flip. So let's see how this deck fares against one of the big baddies of standard. Let's go ahead and keep this hand. We do have a lot of action we can do on the first few turns. I'm going to go ahead and start with a I'm actually going to go ahead and start with a naive lackey here on 1. I'm going to use this lily pad to make blood. I want to be as quick as possible against the Redlings deck just because of how fast it can be. I like having quick blockers. That also enables a turn 2 Emperor's Lackey that we can sack the naive lackey to in a pinch. Our opponent may just have a Emperor's Lackey of their own here. Could have a Wicked Web Spawn, Rust Bucket Distractor in a pinch. Or they could have a handful of Underworld Crusaders and just be waiting till turn 3. Looks like a plain Jane Rust Bucket Distractor is the choice. Lord Blightbark. That was a very good draw. Let's go ahead and play Lord Blightbark here. And we will just go and play out this Necropolis coin. That'll enable us to have 4 resources for future turns. And I believe I'm just going to go ahead and attack with this Emperor's Lackey. I would love if they block with the Rust Bucket Distractor. Just going to go ahead and take the 2. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and let that happen. Next turn, provided Lord Blightbark lives, I'm going to play Succubus and put the Deathcry ability on Naive Lackey and then sack it. I expect an Underworld Crusader here, a Matriarch of Flame. There's the Underworld Crusader. Alright, so I'm going to block one of these Dreadlings. We are going to be taking 7 damage here, which is a bit unfortunate. We should have a decent blocker here next turn. There's a Commander Prompt. Go ahead and make a Wild in case we get a Woken Drokatar. Let's go ahead and play Promiscuous Succubus. Put that on the Naive Lackey. We will go ahead and sack the Lackey to Emperor's Lackey. We also get to draw a card off of that. So the nice thing about the Carnal Demon here is that it will let us avoid a Lasgar's Vengeance hitting us. And our opponent has a very hard time with the Redlings deck dealing with 6/6s when all they have is Lasgar's Vengeance. 6/6 with Flight is very, very strong. Alright, so against this matchup, I actually haven't played against this matchup yet, but I imagine Gemborn Prowler is probably pretty good for the Blamsmith and Underworld Crusader. Hero Fall is good because of the many 4-ofs they have in their decks. And Lullaby is combat damage. That's not going to do a whole lot. Cheap Shot is probably also fine, as is Strangle, just for extra removal. Against this matchup, there's a lot of debate on whether or not we want to play Culmination in Blood. On the plus side, Culmination's very good at getting out their Lasgar's Vengeances, and with them making Dreadlings, they can fill up a crypt very quickly to enable that. That said, they also like to play out their hand rather quickly, so it's kind of a toss-up. I think for this matchup, I'm going to go ahead and leave it in. I'm going to trim both copies of Woken Drokatar here on the draw. On the play, I'll probably keep in one. I'm going to get rid of the one Withering Gaze we have, and I am going to go ahead and trim one copy of, I believe, Naive Lackey. The Vampire Princess will be nice to give us a little bit of life if needed, and it can pluck a Lasgard's Vengeance in a pinch. So we'll try this configuration and see what happens. Adjust our list just a little bit. There we go. Again, this hand's pretty good. It's a little slow, but we do have a turn 1 and 2 play, so we're going to go and give it a shot. A turn 1 Death Seeker. Good opening from our opponent there. Opponent's probably going to just attack with the Death Seeker here, and I'm going to let the 2 damage through. Blight Bush is a better blocker, and I can use the Lackey on turn 3 to gain some life back. Crimson Slayer on 2. So Crimson Slayer is a 2/3 that says when you scrounge, it gets +3 tough or +3 attack and crush for that turn. Again, a little shard heavy here, with like an ice. Probably expecting a Underworld Crusader here. No, just a Lackey. Cool. Now the Blight Bush I will block with. See if our opponent wants to cremate here, probably. If our opponent cremates our Blight Bush, I will still block with one of the 1/1s that get generated. Just swinging with Crimson Slayer. I will go ahead and let that through. Culmination. That's pretty good for us. Our opponent's being a little more conservative with their activations here, probably to protect themselves from this card. That said, let's go ahead and sack this and see what we get. A Hero Fall. That's real nice. So I think our answer here is just a Hero Fall, the Emperor's Lackey. Yep, only had 2. Okay. Still fine. So now once if they make Dreadlings this turn, we'll actually be in a pretty good spot to culminate them. We could just also play Commander Prompt. Opponent has 2 Necrotics right now, so activating will give them 1 Dreadling. I'm going to take 2 one more time. And we're just going to play Commander Prompt out. Now you have a much better blocker here in Blight Bush. So opponent's attacked with 2 troops so far. So their Lasgard's Vengeance would cost 6. I'm going to go and make that Dreadling. Gruesome Deed. Okay. So I am going to block with Blight Bush now. I think. So it's 3 activations. I can actually take this. Grounds Creeper and External. Let me start making Blight Blossoms out of this. I think that's worth it. Deadeye Ripper. Interesting choice from our opponent. I didn't see that before. There's a Wild Ice. I'm going to hold back on that. Just going to go and play this out for our Grounds Creeper. 4/5 is nice against our opponent, especially against Lasgar's Vengeance. Go ahead and make some Blight Blossoms. These would be good blockers, and then we can culminate. These Redling decks really don't like when we throw blockers in their way. That said, this Wicked Web Spawn has, what, 2 troops to scrounge from, so that's pretty good. No attack. Lord Blightbark is really good here. But to play it safe, I believe I'm just going to go ahead and sack a Blight Blossom, gain some life back. Succubus. Okay. So let's go ahead and culminate them out. And looks like that's enough from our opponent, and they're going to go ahead and concede as well. So that looks like a very quick 2-0 against the best deck in the format. So also it looks like there's a bug and I'm getting some free cards. That's always fine. But looks like this deck is able to take down some of the best decks in the format. That is good to see. And I will be back with our 3rd of 4 matches here in this week's Battleshopper Breakdown with Blood Wild Deathcry. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next match.